America has just crossed a number no government has ever reached before. $40 trillion in national debt. But here is the part most people misunderstand. America does not owe $40 trillion to China. It does not owe all of it to foreign governments. And there is no single lender waiting for Washington to write one enormous check. So who actually owns this debt? Why does the world keep lending America money? And when does the debt become dangerous? To answer that, we will look at 5 things. How the debt became so large. Who actually owns it? How much belongs to foreign countries? Why investors keep buying it? And what happens if the debt keeps growing? So, let us get started. Number 1. How did America reach $40 trillion? The basic idea is simple. The United States collects money mainly through taxes, while the government spends on Social Security, healthcare, defense, infrastructure, interest payments, and many other programs. When spending is higher than revenue, the government runs a budget deficit. To cover that gap, the Treasury borrows money by selling Treasury bills, notes, and bonds. Investors give the government money today. In return, the government promises to repay them later with interest. The problem is not 1 year of borrowing. America has run deficits in most years for decades. Then major events made the gap much larger. The financial crisis required emergency support. The pandemic brought enormous relief programs. Tax cuts reduced some revenue, while major spending programs and interest costs continued to grow. The result is a national debt that has more than doubled over roughly the past decade. But borrowing the money is only half the story. Who actually owns all those promises? Number 2. Who owns the debt? The national debt is divided into debt held by the public and debt held inside the federal government itself. Some government trust funds invest money in special Treasury securities. The larger category is debt held by the public. And public does not mean only ordinary Americans. It includes banks, pension funds, mutual funds, insurance companies, businesses, state and local governments, the Federal Reserve, individual investors, and foreign investors. So a large part of America's debt is owned by Americans and American institutions. Your retirement fund may even own Treasury securities. But what about China? Number 3. How much of America's debt is owned overseas? Foreign investors own a large amount of American government debt, but they do not own most of it. Japan is the largest foreign holder. The United Kingdom is also a major holder. China owns hundreds of billions of dollars of Treasury securities. That is still enormous. But it is nowhere close to $40 trillion. The reality is that Treasury securities are owned through a huge global financial market. Central banks, investment funds, financial institutions, companies, and private investors all participate, which creates a bigger question. Why would anyone keep buying the debt of a country that already owes so much? Number 4. Why does the world keep lending America money? The answer begins with trust. United States Treasury securities have long been treated as one of the most important safe assets in global finance. The American economy is enormous. The Treasury market is deep and liquid. The dollar remains central to international finance. And investors have long expected the United States government to make its payments. This creates a strange paradox. The more uncertain the world becomes, the more investors often look for safety in American government debt. But that advantage is not unlimited. Investors still care about inflation, interest rates, political stability, and the government's ability to control its finances. And that brings us to the real danger. Number 5. When does the debt become dangerous? The danger is not that someone suddenly demands $40 trillion tomorrow. Government debt does not work that way. Treasury securities mature at different times. Old debt can be repaid or replaced while the government continues financing new deficits. The bigger problem is the cost. As debt grows, interest payments can grow with it. When interest rates are high, replacing old debt becomes more expensive. Interest costs have already reached more than $1 trillion a year. That means more government revenue goes toward paying for past borrowing instead of new priorities. If investors demand higher yields, borrowing costs can rise across the wider economy. Mortgages can become more expensive. Businesses can face higher financing costs. So the greatest risk is not simply the size of the debt. It is confidence. As long as investors believe America will manage its finances and repay its obligations, the system can continue operating. But if confidence weakens, borrowing can become more expensive. Then a dangerous cycle can begin. More debt creates more interest. More interest creates larger deficits. Larger deficits require more borrowing. And more borrowing creates more debt. So who does America owe $40 trillion to? The answer is not China. And it is not one mysterious foreign lender. America owes money to retirement funds, banks, insurance companies, the Federal Reserve, government trust funds, foreign governments, and investors around the world. $40 trillion is not one giant loan. It is a massive network of promises spread across the global financial system. The real question is not whether America can borrow $40 trillion. It already has. The question is how much more it can borrow before the cost begins changing the economy itself. Because debt does not become dangerous simply when the number looks frightening. It becomes dangerous when the people lending the money start becoming frightened too.